Slaking was once thought to be completely unviable in Gen 3 OU, a Pokemon held back by its ability Truant, making it extremely exploitable. Although it's ranked higher in Gen 3 than any other generation, with a respectable UUBL placement, most pro players would not choose to bring a Slaking to the table with their tournament life on the line, especially with a cash prize involved. But recently this has changed, and high-level players are re-evaluating how good Slaking actually is. Not only did a Slaking team peak the ladder not too long ago, achieving an ELO world record at the time thanks to the player BluesEnergy, Slaking was also just used in grand finals of the biggest Gen 3 OU tournament of the year, with a $1,300 cash prize on the line. ABR, one of the greatest Pokemon players in history, put his faith in Slaking when it mattered most, and it worked. This grand finals was particularly noteworthy because ABR not only brought various novel Pokemon to the set, including Slaking, Donphan, and even Sableye, he also chose not to bring Tyranitar or Skarmory even once in the second set of grand finals. For those who don't know, Tyranitar and Skarmory are the firm top 2 of Gen 3 OU, with much debate about which of them is number 1. The majority of competitive teams will have one of these Pokemon or both. Bringing neither of these Pokemon to a grand finals set is absolutely unheard of. This grand finals also happened to feature all 3 of the Reggie trio. What is going on in Gen 3 OU? Is this metagame less figured out than we all thought? And why did Slaking work so well at the absolute highest level of play? Let's take a look. But first, it is important to note that Jimothy Cool non-subscribers are currently being pointed and laughed at by passers-by. Subscribe to the channel to avoid the same fate. Thank you. The Gymvitational tournament is a double elimination bracket. That means that if a player loses a set, they aren't out of the tournament immediately. They fall down to the lower bracket where they can still compete. But this is their last chance. If they lose in the lower bracket, they are out. Grand Finals is played between the finalists of the upper and lower bracket, and the player coming from the lower bracket has to win 2 sets to claim the championship. The Grand Finals of Gymvitational was played between Bihi from the lower bracket and ABR in the upper bracket. Competitive Pokemon tournaments are interesting when it comes to team choice. You want a favorable matchup against your opponent. You want to prepare for them, take a look at what they tend to bring, their habits and tendencies, and punish them. But you also don't want to go too matchup dependent. You want a team that is fundamentally solid, that will not get caught off guard if it gets the wrong matchup. This is a fine line to walk, and it almost feels like the metagame itself changes depending on your opponent. Having a team that's good against the entire metagame at large is very different to having a team that's good against a very specific opponent. In the first game of the first set, Bihi went with Old Reliable, a very solid Thorotris balanced team, up against ABR's slightly more novel Gengar physical offense. This team is aiming to trap and eliminate steel types with Magneton to sweep with the Gyarados, Snorlax, and Metagross. And it's running this strange utility Gengar. Gengar is not commonly seen on teams like this, but it's an interesting idea, with Will-O-Wisp to spread burn, Explosion to trade and keep up momentum, and even Rain Dance to clear sand from the field, which benefits Snorlax. This is a support Gengar, aiming to aid the rest of the team. This slightly out there idea from ABR didn't quite work, and the more solid Thorotris balanced team prevailed in the first game. This early victory would set the stage for the rest of the set to come. Bihi brought the exact same team to game 2, and ABR struck back with a slightly more aggressive Jolteon Spikes team, a much more standard team than what was brought in game 1. Game 3 was interesting. Bihi threw a curveball out there with a very unique Machamp mixed offense team featuring Charizard and a mixed Metagross. ABR returned to the Rain Dance Gengar idea, but this time with a different structure, opting for a Swift Swim Kingdra to benefit from that Rain Dance, with some sort of Spikes special offense game plan. This was one of the stranger games from the set, but ABR triumphed against Bihi's mixed offense team that was probably aiming to face a more standard Skarmory, Blissey, Tyranitar balanced team. It would have really punished that, but ABR caught Bihi off guard with this Kingdra Rain team that had a positive matchup. Bihi held strong, bringing a similar idea, a spikeless offense team with a Charizard and substitute Calm Mind Jirachi, aiming to punish Skarmory and Blissey. And ABR did in fact bring a Skarmory Blissey balanced team this time. Misdreavus Superman is a known team, popularized by ABR himself. This team uses Misdreavus to ignore spikes with Levitate and punish Claydol, but Bihi sidesteps what ABR was trying to do with a more aggressive approach, and Jirachi overwhelms ABR. In the final game of set 1, Bihi once again brings Thorotris balance, and ABR returns to a Jolteon Spikes idea. But this time it didn't work out so well for ABR. Bihi was victorious in set 1 and reset the bracket. These two players would now have to play an additional set. Bihi punished a lot of ABR's more more novel ideas with a standard team that it wasn't too flashy. Now that he's backed into a corner, what does ABR do here? Should he continue trying more wacky ideas, trying to catch Bihi off guard, or should he fold and try to play something more meta? In the first game of set 2, ABR sticks to his guns with a pretty ridiculous looking team to start things off. A Fortress Donphan Sableye balanced team. Donphan is an interesting Pokemon in Gen 3 OU because inherently it actually has a lot of fantastic qualities. A ground typing is pretty nice defensively. You match up well against physical threats like Tyranitar, Aerodactyl, and Salamence, even Gyarados. And you can not only check all of those and provide a lot of defensive backbone, you can Rapid Spin to remove hazards. The problem with Donphan is that it matches up so poorly into the common Skarmory and Gengar. Skarmory absolutely eats Donphan for breakfast. You can just Toxic them, set spikes, and Rapid Spin will lose 1v1. Most Donphan teams use Pursuit Tyranitar or Magneton as teammates for this reason. So ABR going with this build was a bit novel and atypical of normal Donphan teams. Sableye was especially interesting here. A terrible Pokemon in Gen 3 all around, with horrible stats and an NU ranking. What Sableye does bring to the table is its Ghost typing, which can block enemy Rapid Spin and Explosion, and that Dark typing kind of helps against Claydol, offering Psychic immunity. Sableye also has access to Recover, which no other Ghost type does, and Knock Off, a scarce move that is really useful to remove enemy items. Sableye can work, but once again, in game 1 of this set, ABR's more out there idea was seriously punished by something more standard from Bihi. Now that ABR has lost a set and lost the first game of set 2, does he crumble? Does he fold? Many players in this position would lose faith in their original ideas that consistently are being punished by metagame teams. ABR needed some breathing room, so for the second game he brought something to slow things down. A defensive Fortress, Claydol, Suicune, Blissey team. Although Dugtrio lead is a bit unorthodox, the rest of the team is extremely standard. The reason for Dugtrio lead here is actually to play around aggressive leads from the enemy. Leads like Jinx or Smeargle can really punish teams like the one ABR brought here, but Dugtrio lead is able to outrun them and trap and eliminate those aggressive, frail leads immediately, putting you at a significant advantage. What's interesting about this game is that Bihi sort of played around this by having a Jinx in the back. Jinx almost always leads in Gen 3 to try to start things off aggressively. So I think Bihi displayed some serious awareness by not leading with the Jinx, disguising it and bringing it in later, playing around this Dugtrio lead from ABR. I'm not sure how intentional this was, but I think it was a fantastic choice. That being said, the rest of Bihi's team was a little bit insane here. I think that Bihi was banking on ABR not bringing Blissey, because this team is very weak to Blissey, evidently. It is full of special threats and no Dugtrio to eliminate Blissey. It has Registeel to try and explode or superpower in the face of Blissey, and maybe Jinx for mean look trapping, but I think this was just a misfire from Bihi. In these high-level games, both players are trying to one-up their opponents and call them out. Bihi was trying to catch ABR bringing something crazy again, something off-meta. Pokemon like Raikou and Suicune tend to really punish teams like that, but a bit of a reversal here. ABR bringing it back to basics and getting a win in the book. And in the next game is where the Slaking came out. ABR brought a Slaking Magneton physical offense. The game plan is simple. Eliminate Skarmory, go in with physical threats. This team is aiming once again to face something meta, something like Fortress or Skarmory balance. But Bihi didn't bring that. Bihi also went a little bit off meta this time with an Agility Pass, Zapdos, Medicham, and Marowak team. This is a very aggressive team, aiming to baton pass speed boosts to Medicham and Marowak and just go directly in, winning quickly. But a Choice Band Metagross lead on ABR's side denied Bihi from the early agility, forcing out Zapdos. These were two breakneck aggressive teams, absolutely going blow for blow. With every Pokemon elimination, a new threat comes in and gets a KO. The Medicham on Bihi's side was punished by a surprise Slaking entry. Slaking, of course, outruns Medicham and one-hit KOs it with Return. Slaking is forced out now thanks to Truant, and ABR exits to Snorlax. Zapdos is able to take advantage of the Slaking Truant turn to find that moment to agility and potentially baton pass to Marowak for a win. But Snorlax is threatening to explode here and just eliminate Zapdos or the incoming Marowak. It's a little bit of an awkward position that could spell disaster for either player depending on what they do. Snorlax goes for a Shadow Ball to cover a Zapdos substitute and also threaten an incoming Celebi. The Celebi did come in and ABR got a significant chunk of damage in the box. He tries to heal up with Giga Drain and invites a self-destruction. ABR was probably hoping to catch the Marowak coming in there, so BH still has another chance to agility pass to Marowak and win the game. ABR sends in Regirock, who can significantly threaten Zapdos with super effective damage, or just explode to eliminate the Zapdos or the Marowak. It is an awkward position. Zapdos does live the Hidden Power Rock and has enough health remaining to substitute once more, and this is the pivotal turn. If Zapdos substitutes and Regirock breaks the substitute, an explosion is game over. It's checkmate, because Zapdos will either feint itself to the explosion or the incoming Marowak will feint. Zapdos could also just baton pass directly to Marowak here if he thinks the enemy is going to Hidden Power Rock. Marowak would resist the hit, be faster than everything, and sweet. With over $1,000 on the line, ABR makes a decision to Hidden Power Rock, thinking that BH will substitute, and he was correct. And this is now a checkmate situation. Regirock selects Explosion, eliminating the Marowak in the back, and Slaking is able to outrun and eliminate Zapdos for the final KO. Even though this was not the intended matchup for ABR, he pulled through anyway, and Slaking did some serious work here, eliminating Metacham, who would have otherwise been a formidable threat. Look how weak ABR's team is to fighting type attacks. Despite that initial game loss in this set, ABR is now up 2-1, only a single game away from tournament triumph. And he goes with a lead Smeargle. Smeargle uses Dragon Dance and then Spore. Dragon Dance Smeargle could represent a team similar to what BH brought in the previous game, where Smeargle is trying to pass the Dragon Dance boost to a teammate and start the game off with some aggression. But this team from ABR seemed to just be using Dragon Dance Smeargle for the speed boost, maybe as a little bit of a mind game, representing a more aggressive all-in team, but actually being an aggressive spikes team instead. Smeargle is able to get a layer of spikes on the field and deal slightly more damage with Explosion thanks to the attack boost from Dragon Dance, bringing Metagross down to 63. This allows a Dugtrio follow-up to eliminate the Metagross. Celebi punishes the Earthquake lock-in, but it is Regice on ABR's side to punish the Celebi. But what is this? A Swords Dance Celebi. Uncommon alongside Skarmory, but it can be great to pass attack boosts to teammates. These kinds of Celebi sets usually don't run attacks themselves, but BH was running either Hidden Power Rock or Hidden Power Fighting, which dealt super effective damage to the Regice, catching ABR off guard once again. Although ABR did considerable damage with that Ice Beam, he's now in a tough position. ABR holds strong in Ice Beams on a recover turn, willing to sacrifice Regice for another Dugtrio follow-up. Regice goes down, but now Celebi is low enough to not need to be trapped by Dugtrio. Starmie can do the trick. Celebi is too low now to ever Sword Dance pass to anything. Starmie is more aggressive and less punishable than Dugtrio. In comes a Gengar on Magneton, hoping to catch a Hidden Power Grass aimed for the Dugtrio. Instead, it is a Thunderbolt, but now ABR goes for the Dugtrio switch in on the subsequent turn and gets it right, eliminating Magneton. But Gengar's paralyzed and low health. That's not great. ABR brings in Metagross against Aerodactyl, and it looks to be a substitute Lychee Berry Aerodactyl. This was aiming to receive Swords Dance boosts from the Celebi, but ABR intelligently played around that Celebi, denying it from doing so. Aerodactyl is now forced out since Earthquake doesn't quite KO. Metagross would earn too much chip heal if Aerodactyl stayed and tried to play this 1v1. Now, Mixed Metagross is pressuring this sleeping Skarmory with Hidden Power Fire. BH roars out the Metagross, bringing in offensive Starmie, who is able to eliminate Skarmory with a simple Thunderbolt. Tyranitar is now hoping to live a Surf or dodge a Hydro Pump, but neither of these come to pass, and with only Aerodactyl remaining, BH is going to need a miracle here. It is actually still possible to win for BH if they get a single Rock Slide flinch. ABR's team is all slower than Aerodactyl and in range of death. With the attack boost from Lychee Berry, if a single Rock Slide flinch here occurs, ABR will have to play another game. But it didn't happen like that, folks. The 30% chance did not come to fruition, and ABR closes out this final game without Skarmory or Tyranitar. BH's team was hoping to face Skarmory or maybe Forretress. BH brought Magneton, but Magneton was trapping nothing here except maybe Metagross. This team is kind of crazy from ABR too. Smeargle and Dugtrio are not commonly paired together, but the plan worked. These two players were pushing each other to their limits, both trying to outdo one another, punish each other's habits, and earn that cash prize. But ABR came out on top of the arms race. Although he lost a whole set initially, although he was down a game, in the second set, ABR stuck to his guns, continuing to bring out the teams that he may have started to doubt based on how the set was going. This took incredible mental fortitude, and it is one of the most impressive performances I have ever seen in a Pokemon tournament. It does seem like ABR was trying to avoid using Skarmory, and this actually benefited him. ABR is known as a Skarmory spammer. Skarma. He famously thinks Skarmory is number 1 and sort of kickstarted the discourse around that. So many players try to prepare for Skarmory when facing ABR. This is a great example of how keeping things unpredictable is very important, and ABR shows that the best Pokemon players are ones that think outside the box. And most importantly of all, this set showed that Slaking is actually tournament viable. I have to say that I have been very impressed with Slaking. It has great speed for a wall breaker, it is difficult to switch in against, and it is quite a good Pokemon to build a team around. And as shown by ABR here, it can have a positive matchup into not only meta strategies like Skarmory Blissey, but also off-meta strategies like Behe's Agility Pass Marowak. If you are interested in the old generation's tournament scene, check out our channel Revival Tournaments, where this invitational tournament was hosted and covered. There is commentary of all the sets available for viewing. We have also started covering Generation 5 OU tournaments just recently, and there are more on the horizon with ADV Revival 2 on the way. Thank you very much for watching.